Assalamualaikum and good morning guys. In this video we are going to proceed with the next subtopic of descriptive statistic, which is numerical data presentation. And by saying numerical data presentation, I means that we are going to talk about these three kind of measures, right? We have measure of central tendency, MCT, measure of dispersion, MD, and measure of position, right? As we have discussed before, in MCT, right, the purpose of measure of central tendency is to measure the center point, and among the tools that you have in MCT is mean, median, and mode. In fact, the only tools that you have in MCT is actually mean, median, and mode. Okay, and then we have measure of dispersion, where you use it to measure the spreadness of data, how far data from each other. And lastly, we have measure of position, to pinpoint the position of each respected data, right, with respect to the whole data that you have. Okay, so let's look at it one by one. All right, so let's read a bit from the textbook. Okay, that a numerical data presentation is a data that is being presented in numerical form. Okay, because sometimes graphical data presentation might not be helpful enough. You just need, maybe you need some numerical value, right, to now that can portray the position, the spreadness, and the average and things, right? So you also need a numerical data presentation. In fact, if you're using both of it, right, hand to back to back, then it is a lot better. You will give a more concise, a more precise descriptive statistic of that particular of your data. All right, so there are three important methods that have been said. I've said it before. Okay, the selection of measures among the three measures depends on the objective of your study, but usually we are going to use all of them, yeah, because all of them show different dimension of your data, right? So uh, let's see. All right, as I said before, okay, we are going to learn, you are going to learn to use a statistical software. Okay, as common as we have Excel. So when it comes to using software, okay, so it is not really important to memorize the formula, right? It is important back then, right, during your secondary, maybe during your pre-university. So, but now it is not as important, because your data will be processed by the software. So the software will do the calculation and everything. But what's more important is you to understand the value and the interpretation. You need to know that what does the value stand for, right? You need to be able to interpret the data, the outcome later. So let's look at the first one, right? Measure of central tendency, MCT. So for measure of central tendency, okay, as I said before, you have mean, median, and mode. Okay, the symbol here is the symbol for sample mean, sample median, and sample mode. Okay, this is the symbol for sample mean, sample median, and sample mode. Right. So for mean, it as you have used it before, is you obtain mean by finding the average, right? And as for median, you find median by arranging your data from smallest to largest and find the middle value, the 50% of your data, right? With the position of the 50% of your data. As for mode, it talks about the most common or frequent data value appear in your data. So the kind of calculation that you can, the kind of data that you can use with each of these MCT is this. For mean, right, you can use it only with quantitative data. right? The data that can be quantified. Okay, as for median, right, you can use it for quantitative and also ordinal. So for mode, you can use it for quantitative, nominal, ordinal. So basically, when it comes to finding MCT for qualitative data, you will need to use median and mode, right? However, there is also a case where you have a quantitative data, but still you can use out of these three. So the question is when to use mean, when to use median, and when to use mode. Usually we are just talking about for quantitative. Usually, right, it will be between mean and median. Okay, there is a situation where, right, please take note of this, right? There is a situation where you can use mean, or in other words, the typical terms used for it is average. You can use average, right, to calculate for the center point, right? But in some situation, it might be more suitable to use median. So let's see what is the situation by using this example. Okay, let's say that you want to find the average salary, maybe from your among you guys later, after you go out and work. So you want to find out your average salary. Okay, so let's say that you want to look for the average salary for 5%. So the first person, right, get a salary of 2500. Okay, and then we are going to immediately find the average here. And then for the second one, the salary is, let's say, 5, we have 3000. For the third person, the salary a little bit lower, let's say 2300. And then after that, we have the fourth person with a salary of 4000. Okay, and for the last person, let's make it a salary of 3500. Okay, so basically the average for of the salary between these 5 people is, when you divide it by 5, 3060. So there is no problem, right, to report this value here. So because of, as you can see, the range of this salary is actually not far away, not really far away. In other words, in statistics, we say that there is no outliers, and this average is valid. It actually can be used to represent as the center point or mean for this data. However, let's try to change a bit, right? Let's say we are still talking about the same thing, finding the average salary. So I just copy it back. We have 2500. For the second person, 3000, and then for the third person is 2300, and then we have the fourth person 4000. But right, for the fifth person, he's actually becoming very successful in his business, and actually get a salary of a 5-figure salary. Let's say if it's not too much, we are going to put 20,000 per month, right? Businessman. Okay, so the total will be this, and when you divide it by 5, see, this is what you get. So we have the history here. You can look at the history. This is for our previous example where the salary between these 5 people is actually almost similar to each other, right? As for this one, the salary of the first 4 is similar. However, the last one has actually a salary is we can say that not similar to the first 4. or in statistics we call it outliers. So what happens when you use outliers? This will be the average, right? So when you use this and as an average, right? When you report this, you say that the average salary for that 5% is 6,360. Is it correct? Is it accurate? Of course not, because as you can see here, their salary is just 2,500, 3,000, right? 2,300 and 4,000, right? So basically, you can't actually say that the average of this is 6,000, right? It is actually too much, right? It is because of this. This is actually the problem. So when you have this kind of outliers where your data is actually, when you look at the data, right, seems like it's not belong, it should not be there because the data is different from others, then right, you can't really use mean to calculate for MCT. So what is the most suitable MCT methods to be used? We use median, right? So basically mean is good but it is sensitive to outliers where you have a data that is actually different from the group of your data. Okay, so you can't use mean when you have a data like that. So if you want to use mean, then you need to exclude the outlier. If not, you'll need to use median, because median is not sensitive to outlier, because it will just take the middle value, right? So that is about MCT. I hope that you understand when to use mean and when to use median. Alright, so we have the formula. I believe that most of you is familiar in how to calculate mean, right? Find the total of the data and then divide by the number of the data, and then for median you will arrange in ascending order. You pick the value, the data that is in the middle, right? If you have an even number of data, then you need to pick two value in the middle and divide it by 2, right? That is how you find median. In mode, you will look for data that appear frequently, the same value that appear frequently. So we also have mean and median and mode for group data, right? Mean and median and mode for group data, right? The formula should be used when you encounter with a group data, which is the data in frequency table, right? If you are using a raw data, then you will just use, right, the MCT for ungrouped data, right? The first one here. Okay, but again, all of this will be calculated by software. So you will need, what you need to know more is on how to interpret its value. Okay, so that is on MCT. Okay, I think that's it for MCT. Okay, oh, see, all right, we have another one. Relationship between mean, median, mode, and shape of distribution. Remember that I talked about shape of distribution before? Left skewed, right skewed, symmetry. Okay, you can also determine the skewness of your data, right, by looking at the value of mean, median, mode, right? Meaning that you don't need to draw your graph to find out the shape of the distribution. So, right, data is said to be left skewed if mean is less than median and less than mode. Median less than mode, right, in this sequence. Right, and data is symmetry when all of them are equal, and it is right skewed when it is the other way around. So it did not really need to be ideally like this. If it is approximate, then we can also use it. Okay, so For example, mean, median, and mode not equal, maybe just a small difference, then we can maybe say it is approximately symmetric. It is normal, right? We can say that. Okay, so basically that is on mean, median, and mode, right? You can use it to calculate the center point, and you can also use it to determine the shape of the distribution of your data. Okay, so in the next video we're going to talk about measure of dispersion. Thank you.